Ladies and gentlemen, ready for countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition.
Man, this is some of the greatest stuff I've ever heard. Ooh.
These go to 11.
Here at TWRS, we're always here to help our squad when they need a little push in the right direction. That's just who we are. We're a beautifully diverse group of goofballs dedicated to driving fake race cars as fast as possible. And we continue to push each other to the front using the power of nonsense. We have one of the strongest NASCAR programs on the service, and you can access it all for $24.99 a month. And we just released individual subscriptions for $14.99 a month for each NASCAR vehicle. We also just added a rallycross program, and our IndyCar program is taking off as well. So come join the weird side. We have speed and cookies. Cookies are not included in some locations.
If you love the thrill of racing but hate the risks, then buckle up. Everything Simulated is here to merge adrenaline with absolute safety. In a world where technology meets adrenaline, Everything Simulated is revolutionizing driver training with state-of-the-art simulators. From truck training to the thrill of motorsports, our simulators offer the most realistic experiences across all automotive applications. Gone are the days of endless bookwork and basic drills. Now it's all about hands-on, pulse-pounding action that prepares you for the real deal. Whether you're maneuvering a heavy mining vehicle or racing a high-speed car, our simulators, equipped with cutting-edge technology from leaders like SimRigs and TrackRacer, bring every nuance of the drive to life. And talk about making a mark. We're not just building simulators, we're fostering talent. From grassroots motorsports to professional series like the Aussie Outlaw GT3, sponsored by us, Everything Simulated is fueling dreams and careers. Ready to feel the excitement of the racetrack under your fingertips? Connect with us, and let's build your next simulator adventure together. Remember, we support those who support us. Join the Everything Simulated family, and let's race towards the future.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Inside Lane Productions. It's Friday night, and that means one thing. It's time for the Southern Thunder Truck Series. Yes, we are back for round 4 here at Nashville Superspeedway here at Lebanon, Tennessee. We are at tonight. I am Mr. Carl Wilkinson with me up here in the booth tonight. I'm joined by Mr. James Watson. James, how you going, mate?
Going all right. Can't wait to see tonight's race from the concrete jungle. Maybe not the most, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not necessarily the concrete jungle you think of when we talk about Tennessee racetracks, but Nashville Superspeedway is fantastic all the same.
It's a very different track, and it's going to throw up some very different challenges here tonight. As you said, concrete layout, and it is a fairly big track as well, 1.3 miles in length. When we say super speedway, of course, modern days we think of, Daytona, Talladega, of course, but back in the day, this was pretty much a super speedway type track.
Yeah, pretty much. Like we're accustomed to the super cathedrals of speed that is the Daytona, Talladega, not you, Atlanta. But yeah, Nashville Superspeedway, definitely. I do appreciate the nomenclature that they use for this track, but yeah, you're definitely not going to be dealing with the same amount of speed and on throttle time here like you would Daytona or Talladega.
No, it does throw up the challenge as well, being concrete. The tyres, they get a bit of a wear out as well. You get some good running on this track, and it often promotes some really good racing too.
Yeah, tire wear is a nightmare at this place because the concrete, and it's also bumpy. Real bumpy. So if your set is not made to deal with these bumps well, you're going to be in for a rough one.
Absolutely. You've got to watch out for those drivers with fillings tonight. The dentists will be pleased because they will be doing their job tomorrow morning. So, looking at the championship standings, and it's Brad Newman leading away with 128 points ahead of Ruben Phelps in second with 113. We've got Lachlan Urquhart again for SRM second and third there, of course, with 94 points. And then back there with Brian Van Vel in 80 points in fourth. Fifth position is Zachary Sears with 76. Got Paul Jackson with 72 positions in sixth position. Then joint seventh is Mark Grukop with Maddie Ray on 69. Nice. Shane Bowen in ninth position with 67. And Maddie Hunter in 10th with 64 points.
Oh, mercy. Anyways, there's old PJ taking his quality laps.
Quali's going to be useful here tonight. We've got 21 drivers out on track at the moment, so getting yourself up towards the front could be a good idea in the early stages, just in case somebody goes a little bit too hard into turn 1.
Plus, it's not easy to pass here or whatsoever. It's a big track, but it's also flat. Not like flat, but it's significantly flatter compared to a lot of the other tracks on the schedule. Like compared to Charlotte a week ago, this track is a lot flatter, and because of that, at times it's easier to defend with running that middle line. So working your way through traffic and all the dirty air, it's going to be a struggle. So you don't want to be all up in that if you can help it.
Absolutely. So, qualifying going to be useful here. And, well, at the moment, Dave Douglas is sitting up the top. I should say Wade Sheedy, actually. He jumps up to the lead. First night running out with us tonight is Wade Sheedy, but a veteran on the old oval side of things. Not new to the oval side of racing is Wade, so does set a good time. Watch out for Brad Newman. He's just set his first lap. How's it going for the second lap? I don't think it's gone well because he's had to jump into the pits and he's going to be down in 4th position at the moment. Ryan Barber jumps up into 2nd position in the 0.5, and he's going to be hoping to get himself into a good spot for this race as well. And there's plenty of action out there at the moment as Ruben Phelps now snatches that pole position time. It's all change, it's all go at the moment. We've still got a fair few cars to qualify, about just under half the field to still qualify, so plenty of times will change here at Nashville.
Those are some good laps so far. Only 2 drivers in the 2s here for qual.
Yeah, Ruben Phelps, Wade Sheedy. Ruben Phelps with a 29.237, Sheedy 2.67. So very close up the top. Can anybody break that? There's going to be trying, and it's not gone well there for Matty Hunter. Back end slips out. He manages to save it. Doesn't go in the wall, but around she goes like a pendulum. They are once they start swinging around, and that is going to hurt his laps.
Yeah, the only thing he was breaking loose.
Unfortunate there for one of our Kiwi drivers, but he will hopefully get it settled in. Hopefully going to have some better long run pace than the short run action there. But it is so crucial on this track, and it is one of those places where we do see those early lap incidents, don't we, where people just push a little bit too hard before the tyres are up to temperature, and the back end just steps out.
Yeah, it's honestly been a rough last 5 days for Kiwi race car drivers.
Yes, not having the best of times, but we'll move on. So most of our fans don't. Keep watching at least. So we're going to head to a quick ad break now before we get to the grid. We'll be back with you very shortly and run through the standings from qualifying. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Of course, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and comment away. It's great to see everybody out there tonight ready for this round 4 of the Southern Thunder Truck Series. Big hello to Peter Jones out there watching us in the YouTube lands. We're going to go through the grid, taking pole position tonight. Starting on the front row is Ruben Phelps with Wade Sheedy on his outside. On row number 2, we've got Matty Ray with Ryan Barber. On the 3rd row tonight is Dave Douglas with Andy Barber. On row number 4, it's Brad Newman with Jason Holdsworth. Shane Bowen and Perry Anastakis make up row number 5.
And row number 6, we have Troy Mortensen in the 23 and Tom Pritchard in the 6. PJ Paul Jackson in the 231 and Brad Wright in the 19 on row 7. Row 8 features the 86 of Brian Blundell and the 213 of Ben Henniker. Row 9 has Matty Hunter and Peter Jones in the 66. Row 10 has Noddy Tompkins in the 80 and Colin Bennett in the 242. And rounding out the field is Mark Bruckett in the 73.
So we get ready for the start of tonight's action. The pace car starts to peel away, and we get 21 very, very loud trucks pulling themselves out of the pit lane tonight. And there is plenty of competition in this field tonight. We've got a lot of quick drivers, we've got a lot of good setups out there, and we've got a lot of drivers ready to take these trucks to the absolute limit. And it's that mix of getting the setup absolutely right and absolutely nailing the track that's going to be key here tonight. There's a couple of tweaks they might do during the race, although it is starting at night, so temperatures are not going to vary that much. Track temperature just 23 degrees, air temperature just 21 degrees here tonight, here in Nashville. So we're not going to see too much changing throughout, but as the rubber gets laid down, that might just tweak it a little bit. We might see a few people needing to do a couple of tweaks to the truck just to get a little bit more settled. But we come round 3 and 4 for the first time tonight. Pace car will peel it into pit road, and we will be going green here for round number 4 of the Southern Thunder Truck Series here in Inside Lane Productions. And the green flag drops, and away we go. Good start from Ruben Phelps. Wade Sheedy gets a good run up on the high side, and we are off here on the triangle. Brad Newman going down low, taking it 3-4 wide in the early stages.
Wow.
Really pinching through.
Oh my lord, fellas, this is lap 1. Oh, but we make it through. Real aggressive. And I think we might have had 1 or 2 trucks starting from pit lane. I think for sure the 38 is Shane Bowen.
Yeah, Shane Bowen starting from pit lane, and I think Matty Hunter might have missed the start, unfortunately, some kind of connectivity issue. So big shame there for Matt Hunter.
Yeah, he's loading back in now, but he's going to be a few laps down when he gets back.
Up at the front, though, we've got a battle going on. Wade Sheedy up on the high, Ruben Phelps down low, and Brad Newman flying towards the front, up 4 positions this early on. He is scything his way through the front of the field and working his way up some positions.
Oh, 3 wide once again. Oh.
He's able to take that truck so tight on the corner entry. It's just catching everybody by surprise. There's nothing they can do.
Yeah, I had noticed that Brad Newman was starting a lot farther down than I think any of us would have expected. And yeah, he's out to... Oh, someone got the wall hard. I think it might have been Sheedy.
Yeah, it was one
might
of
have
the
been Sheedy or Barber. Yeah, one of the black and white trucks. Or
Ryan
black
Barber.
and... Alright, so I was right.
Big hit on the wall. That's not good. But yeah, as you said, Brad Newman started down a little bit further, and that could just be the line that he's running. It might be qualifying wise, the setup and the line that he's sort of favouring there might not have been working to his advantage, but in the race, boy, is it helping him in these early stages. Will it continue that way as the laps tick away, as the tyres start to wear? We'll have to keep an eye on that one, because it's going to be long run pace that's going to win you the race, not the short run pace.
Yeah, but I don't think we have to really be concerned about the 33's long run pace here, given what we've seen from this season so far.
Very, very quick driver is Mr. Brad Newman, and with an I rating of over 6,000, it's not too big a surprise that he is actually quite good.
Yeah, maybe. There might be some correlation with the size of that number and someone's skill. But then again, I'm like 5K and I'm mediocre as heck, so your mileage may vary.
Yeah, it doesn't always equate to skill. Dave Douglas making a run down the inside of the younger Barber there, looking to make the move. And look, driver that is quite quick as well is Mr. Dave Douglas in that number 10. Expect to see that truck working its way up through the pack. But it's stacked up the front. We've got a lot of quick drivers up there. And it's the thing that makes it tricky is...
Someone hard into the wall in the back. 19. That was some hefty contact.
Brad right there in the Fukuoka speed shop entry, and that just gave a big wrinkle on the front. That's going to leave some damage to that right front suspension.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about turn 4 at this place, but it tricks you. Like every time you think it's like, all right, I'm good, I'm gonna be all right, and then all of a sudden that wall gets really, really, really big, and you can read that Rackley roofing sign right there a lot closer. Oh man, slide job from Paul Jackson. A nice move.
Didn't just catch the driver by surprise there, caught James Watson as well, as we just see Brad Newman giving that wall a little tickle too, as we jump back to some pictures. And yeah, as you said, the outside wall of 4 is notorious here. It's one of those walls that just likes to jump towards you, wave its arms, distract you, and make you go into it. It is a really tricky little spot, and it's just one of the little parts of this track that really makes it tricky. As we see the 66 there getting down on the inside. Peter Jones getting a little bit too low, catches the apron. Good save there. That could have been really ugly, but manages to keep it pointing in the right direction.
Yeah, another thing about this track that catches you off guard a lot is the apron. You know, you wouldn't think it'd be that bad considering the banking isn't too steep, but honestly, I'd say it disrupts you more than a track that has significantly steeper banking. Like, it's real easy to get close to it and just really clip that yellow line, and every time it just kind of shocks your vehicle. It just really upsets the car and kind of tosses you up. So you really got to be careful and really be mindful of that. Otherwise, if you're side by side with someone and you bump it, you might be bumping something or someone else, and it also makes you a bit wary if you're the truck on the outside how much you want to pinch, because if you put them down on the apron, again, it's probably not going to work out well for both parties.
Yeah, as you said earlier, it's a relatively flat track, but that's compared to some of the other tracks out there. One of those tracks being Bristol, of course, and we're going to be heading with the Arca Sparks series off to that track tomorrow night. Tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow morning, tomorrow evening, or depending on which part of the world you are in. But the Arca Sparks will be at Bristol Motor Speedway tomorrow, so make sure you tune in for that one, because that's going to be some really fun racing as well, and another concrete monster out in the Americas.
Yeah, and not even out the Americas. It's in the same state, just a few hours over her in Bristol, Tennessee. So I love to commend the schedule makers. Thankfully, it's a much less drive for us to pack up the equipment for tonight's race and then take it on over to Arca Sparks. The logistics-wise, it's fantastic.
It makes it a lot easier when you don't have to travel across country every single day. But right. We are going to be looking forward to this one. I mean, it could be worse. You could be traveling across continents every weekend. F1 calendar, you really need to do something. But we are seeing some good racing at the moment. The 19 on the inside at the moment. And that's Brad Wright and Noddy Tompkins up on his high side at the moment. Noddy getting a good run off the corner and working his way through us. Oh, big slide in the background, I think, for Peter Jones.
Yeah. Good save, though.
We're seeing some good saves out there at the moment. We've not seen the dreaded yellow flag, but there's been a couple of moments where it's looked like it could have been close to coming out, and that was just one of them. Meanwhile, up the front, it is Brad Newman leading away at the moment. He's got a 1.8 second lead over Ruben Phelps, Wade Sheedy. Jason Holsworth working his way up the pack nicely, up 4 spots. Matty Ray in 5th position. Expect Matty Ray to start coming back as this stint goes on. Ryan Barber in 6th position, managing to keep that car running nicely after that bit of a clip to the wall, but doesn't seem to have done too much damage to the 0-5. He's got Dave Douglas nipping at his heels at the moment in the number 10 Nitro Racing entry. Then it is PJ himself, Mr. Paul Jackson, in 8th position, with Andy Barber just behind him, and Parry Anastakis rounding out our top 10 at the moment. But looking down, the battle between Brad Wright and Noddy Tompkins is still going on. These two still side by side, racing each other as hard as you like it. Noddy in the Nitro car, and then you've got Brad Wright up on the high side in the PWS entry. He's got Troy Morrison right on behind him as well, and Morrison's trying to put some pressure on at the moment in that Platinum Racing entry. He's got big wobble behind with Peter Jones, and I think Brian Blundell just copied that as well, just had a bit of a moment. So good job for him sticking it in the right position, keeping it on track. Brian Blundell out on his lonesome tonight. We know Tim Blundell is out street racing in Canberra, thanks to Peter Jones for letting us know that one.
Whoa! Big moment for the 19. Wow, that thing shot up 3 lanes of traffic. It's like
I'm going to move for
close call
position.
of the 80.
Move for position up the front as Wade Sheedy just gets passed by Jason Holdsworth. Holdsworth moving himself up into 3rd position as the number 8 works its way up the field and starts getting himself into position. A nice little move underneath. Just gets the run underneath, gets himself out front, slides himself up in front of the 0-3 and gets that position secured.
Yeah, textbook pass by the 8. Holdsworth was another one that I was a bit surprised to see where he qualified. This is basically exactly where we'd expect him to start and ultimately run. So, don't want to say a recovery drive, but a good run, a good start to the race nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that thing of, qualifying setup and race setup and not always representative, and it is a thing of, the very quick drivers, they can generally out-qualify you using anything they find. They're set up found in the bargain bin behind the track usually, and they still manage to snatch pole from you. But if you get that qualifying setup just that little bit wrong, if it's not quite working for you, it can really underrepresent your race car and make it look like you don't quite have the pace. And then all of a sudden you get that race setup swapped in and it is flying. And we're starting to see that now as Matty Ray is working his way back up through the field and the long run pace kicking in for the SRM machine, sponsored of course by TWRS. And that setup is looking good in its long run form.
Yeah, that's the thing. Setups are fickle beasts. It's not uncommon to... Ooh, nice move by Matty Ray to close out that pass as we see Holdsworth making that move to slide up into P2. Another textbook pass. Oh,
Jason
Ruben's
just going
looking for the crossover.
Could have lost him a bit of momentum. Will we see Ruben get the run? Not quite. And it looks like Holdsworth managed to get that position a little bit further back. Dave Douglas is now on the move. You can see it at the top of the picture there as he gets underneath Wade Sheedy. He's just dropping back a little bit here. Really good again. Qualifying pace was absolutely on it for Sheedy. He managed to get himself up on the front row, but the race pace not quite working in his favour as he's dropping down a little bit now. But we're starting to see some of those trucks that were just taking it easy at the start, now working their way up towards the front. And that is an absolute valid strategy as well, is just taking it easy in those opening laps, just letting your tyres bed in gently before you start really punishing them in the latter parts of the stage.
Yeah, the way I've always been taught is that at the very least, take it easy on your first 5 laps. That's when the curing process is, and you really want to make sure you don't overheat them in those opening 5 laps and just kind of kill the cure on the tires. So those that are able to kind of be patient and take it easy on those opening laps are going to be a heck of a lot quicker as the run goes on, and we're starting to see that play out here pretty significantly.
You can see Douglas now putting Matty Ray under pressure These two have got a lot of experience racing each other out on track as well. And Douglas taking that slightly tighter line. He's going to try and get it underneath Matty Ray here. Matty Ray just giving him that little bit of room on the inside as they go into the corner. Dave Douglas shoots it down the inside. Matty Ray takes the higher line. He's going to try and get a better run off the corner. See if he can get himself up underneath Dave Douglas. Dave comes up, blocks off the assault from Matty Ray, and keeps himself in that position. You can see Matty Ray trying to get back at him, but Douglas doing a good job on that pass.
Yeah, that was a good move. He set that up perfectly. And he's about to do the same thing to the 06.
Got a relatively early stop here. Brad Wright coming in. I'm not sure if that is a stop or if he's coming in just to try and fix a little bit of an issue. So a little bit early possibly for a proper stop. We're 30 laps in. Yeah, so we'll see how that one unfolds. Meanwhile, moving up into third place now is Double D, Dave Douglas, moving that number 10 up into position just ahead of Ruben Phelps, who's now got his boss on his heels. Matty Ray nipping at Ruben Phelps' heels at the moment and trying to get himself up there too. These two will be working together, trying to work out what they need to do for the next part of the stint. Meanwhile, up front, the gap is closing a little bit to first, as Jason Holdsworth is hunting down Brad Newman. Holdsworth has had a good couple of attempts the last few laps. He is closing the gap to first position. So that could be a fight we'll need to keep our eyes on a little bit later in this stint.
Yeah, Holdsworth and Douglas have some pretty good long run pace going here. That gap up to Newman, like you said, it's been about near half since Holdsworth took over second and got more and more time being chipped off every corner.
Right now we're looking at the battle for 11th, 12th and 13th. We've got Noddy Tompkins making a move on Tom Pritchard there. Noddy working his way up the field nice and gently. He's up 8 positions at the moment. Good work from the number 80. He's just got past Tom Pritchard, but Pritchard trying to get back at him. Troy Morrison and Colin Bennett there as well. New to the series, Colin Bennett. Welcome to the series. Up 6 positions at the moment in the 2-4-2. Working his way through the field, but he's in a very nice little battle pack at the moment, and they are racing hard with each other.
Yeah, this is a spirited scrap. Tompkins has been trying to get that pass completed, but just can't fully clear Pritchard every time. He's able to just keep a little bit there off of 2, but got the clear now. But Pritchard coming back once again. Well, that got a little hairy.
Got very unsettled there going across the tri-oval section. And again, you know what you were talking about.
Oh, wow, look at the 19 on the... Oh, no! Oh, no!
How did they keep that pointing in the right direction? That is one hell of a save from Tom Pritchard. Let's look at the replay here, because that was a caution. That was definitely going to be a caution. Big slide from the 19, goes down into the 23, and Tom Pritchard somehow saving that truck.
That is incredible. Like, we could practically read the entire 7-Eleven logo on the side of that truck, and we're all fine. But, man, did you see the Brad Wright? Like, that is the difference between new tires and what these drivers have been on since the drop of the green. Like, he was coming at Mock Jesus around turn 2.
Absolutely. Those fresh tires really kicking in.
Yeah, so now that's got the gears churning for everyone else on this track, because it's like, okay, tires are worth a lot. So, what are you going to do, and when are you going to get them? Do you ask yourself, undercut or overcut? I think everyone is pretty aware at this point where I always tend to lean when it comes strategy-wise, but the undercut might not necessarily be the worst thing.
No, it could be an option. We did see it play out, I think it was last week with Kim Roffey, I think it was, using that sort of early undercut and making it actually pay off in the race. So it's not out of the question to sort of to do something different, to try a different strategy, especially if you're expecting a long green flag run, which you've got to say with everything we're seeing tonight, that is a very distinct possibility that we're going to be seeing a nice big long green flag run here, and that could be a good option to come in and sort of get that sort of slight undercut. But you don't want to come in too early as well, because if you come in too early, you're just going to leave yourself so open at the end. It's a balancing act, and that's always the hardest part. We see Shane Bowen just there on the screen, battling it out as we jump back up, and there we go. We see him making the move down the inside, looking to try and get past Tom Pritchard, who is still, I'm sure, still sitting there wondering how he saved that truck from wrecking, because as you said, that thing was fully sideways at some stages, and that's got to be the save of the season so far.
Yeah, and I don't think much, if any, damage was given to either truck. Like, I almost want to say, like, I couldn't get that great of a view on the actual side-by-side contact between Pritchard and Mortensen, but it was either netcode or they made, like, tire-to-tire contact, and it just kind of jumped the rear of the 6 up off of the track. Either way, the rear of that truck was airborne for a second, and somehow Pritchard was able to get it pointed back the direction that it's supposed to go, almost as if it was nothing.
I'd say that the worst damage is going to be on the tyres. Just that little bit of lateral slide is going to really heat up those tyres and just leave them a little bit worse for wear. So, I mean, that's probably the worst damage. And when you can say that after an incident like that's not the worst thing to happen. As we see Paul Jackson trying to make a move on Ryan Barber at the moment. He is up 4 positions at the moment, PJ, and looking to get that very stunning pink truck up another spot here. Down the inside he goes in the 231 and looks to make the move. Going to slide it up. Doesn't quite have the room there. It does now. Gets it up in front of the younger Barber there. Up in front of Ryan and gets that position gained. Meanwhile, up the front, it is now on for the lead. Brad Newman has got his mirrors filled with the aqua blue, duck shell egg blue. I always try and work out that nice blue colouring of those two trucks, but very similar looking from a distance at the front. But once you realise who it is, you know you're in trouble. Whenever you see that colour in your mirrors, you just go, oh no. But they are both up there at the front at the moment. Brad Newman is being closed down by Holdsworth, and they are starting to close up on Matty Hunter at the moment, who's managed to get back out there 2 laps down. But a couple of cautions could easily get him back in this race. But the battle for the lead is definitely on, and well, just behind them is Dave Douglas, who's done a great job of working his way up to the front.
Yeah, we're getting ready to watch some turquoise on turquoise violence here. Is that 8 truck is getting ever closer, like you said, and now Newman's got Hot Holdsworth Nitro teammate about to join the battle too.
Yeah, the Nitro car's looking very good for that longer run pace at the moment. And it took them a couple of laps to sort of get going, but once the momentum kicked in, they were definitely up there. But they're also sort of not too far off of Matty Ray and Ruben Phelps as well, who about 3 seconds down the road from Dave Douglas. They're keeping themselves in the hunt at the moment and keeping themselves in a position where they can absolutely get themselves up there should anything happen towards the front of the pack. So it is on now for the lead, and you've got to say Jason Holdsworth at the moment is looking the faster of the leading little group here, and he's going to be trying to get down the inside of that Lobs Esport entry of Brad Newman. This is it's a battle that many of us would love, looking forward to seeing. Holdsworth and Newman fighting it out on track once again. These two very experienced on the oval side, very quick drivers, and they are going to be battling it out. As you can see, Newman just keeping his car in the right position at the moment, just defending. He's not defending fresh air, but he's just keeping himself in front of Holdsworth. Back end of that 33, though, is not looking as stuck as the number 8 behind him. Just sliding a little bit, losing a little bit of momentum off the corners. And this is going to be the opportunity for Holdsworth. If he can get that car absolutely stuck, he should be able to get a slightly better exit here. Be able to launch it down the inside into 3 and 4. Does he go for it this time round? He's thinking. He just eases off that little bit, just trying to work out where he wants to try and make that attack, but Newman's not going to make it easy for him.
No, he is not. And Newman, honestly, I don't really see a whole lot of defensive driving either. Newman's just kind of driving as if Holdsworth isn't really causing him many issues. But there's a little bit of an issue, and here we go, side by side for the lead.
Yeah, we saw Tom Pritchard just going into the pits here, but up the front, the battle is on for the lead, and you can see Holdsworth getting down the inside now, and Newman's going to be up slightly higher than he wants to be. Can he get the momentum off the corner? He's going to try and get the run off as they go across the tri-oval. It's side by side, heading into turn number 1. And Newman, a little bit later on the brakes, tries to get that truck turned in, sliding it round, counter-steering. That rear end is not wanting to stick, but he manages to get it round. He just fettles the throttle to get it through 2 and 3. Now into 3 and 4, they go side by side once more. Dave Douglas licking his lips, rubbing his hands together, thinking, ooh, I'm on here for getting past both these boys. As goes down the inside. 3 wide here into turn 1. And Dave Douglas taking it to Holdsworth and Newman.
Ooh, man. Oh, that got hairy. There was a wiggle on the apron from the 10, and then, almost didn't have enough room when they were going down into turn 1. Wow.
Ben Henniker, Shane Bowen in for Cobalt Racing now, so they're starting to see some pit stops here on lap 50. So we're starting to see those pit stops, so that means we're probably going to see another, well, we're definitely going to see another set of pit stops for those boys, as they will be back in again. But yeah, that was some brilliant action, and Dave Douglas has managed to work his way past Brad Newman and work his way up into second position as well. So this is some glorious stuff up the front of the field. We weren't expecting the leaders to go 3 wide, I don't think, for a couple of laps there, but it did happen as Brad Newman pulls it into the pits.
Yeah, and now, go on.
Newman and Matty Ray into the lane together, so we're starting to see those leaders coming in. So, who is going to blink first here at the front for the 2 Nitro cars? Is that bit of a clip on the wall there for Matty Hunter, but he manages to keep it pointing in the right direction. When will these guys pull it in to the lane? How much more fuel have they got on board as well? Was that a tyre call there for Newman? Might well have been. He's trying to get that little bit of an undercut going on. So this is some great action going on. But when will we start seeing the rest of the leaders come into the lane? Phelps, Tompkins, Morrison, Grugott all in the lane at the moment. But it is Jason Holdsworth, Dave Douglas, Andy Barber. That's our top 3 at the moment. So, as we continue on here, we're getting the green flag pit stops, and this is always where things can go very wrong very quickly. All it takes is a little bit too much speed on pit entry, and you're going to find yourself with a black flag needing to get a penalty served. One of those drivers that has found that is Ben Henniker, who had to come in for a drive-through in at the 2-1-3, unfortunately for him. But it is so easy to make that mistake on pit entry and also on pit exit, and this is where you're most likely going to be seeing one of those cautions appearing.
Yeah, this is not an easy pit road to get onto. You've got that, like I said, that kind of weirdly sharp decline going down from the banking to the apron, and you also don't have a whole lot of time to actually get it woed up and find your braking markers to actually get down to pit road speed. So you tend to see a lot of messed up pit entrances here.
Yeah, it's so easy to have that happen and just find yourself in a whole lot of hurt. And that is not what you want to have happen in a green flag stop as well. They're so crucial to make that one work. So we've got 5 drivers out there at the moment that have not stopped. Colin Bennett, Paul Jackson, Andy Barber, Dave Douglas and Jason Holdsworth. Perry Stackers into the lane. As I say that, Paul Jackson into the lane as well. So these guys have extended it a fair bit longer than the rest of the field. So they're going to have some nice fresh tyres towards as they get into this stint, but they're going to be losing a lot of time out on track at the moment. The undercut will be strong, but it's going to be the overcut that we'll see if that one pays off, and that's what these drivers are hoping for, is a slight overcut or a caution.
Yeah, and that's what has me nervous for these two, because you go back to the season opener at Kansas, Newman kept pitting a little early for all the stops, getting the undercut, and while Zachary... Oh, here we go! Top 2, bringing it in.
Late call, and Dave Douglas really late on the brakes there. He brings it in right behind Jason Holdsworth. They made it, 58 laps? That leaves Andy Barber out there, the only driver not to have stopped now. But they bring it in nice and late. How are they going to do with this stop? They need to be pinpoint accurate, get on their marks, stop it in the right spot. Absolutely on the marks is going to be crucial. And this is always such a tense situation as a driver. This is where you can make up a lot of time. Pit road is one of those things where you can make up a good couple of seconds as they get back out on track, and it is Jason Holdsworth ahead of Dave Douglas as Andy Barber brings it into the lane.
And I think Jason Holdsworth took one of the alternate pit exits.
He did, and that's gained him a little bit of time over Dave Douglas. I'm sure Dave is sitting there going, that's interesting to know.
Yeah, that's a new one. I have never seen that before.
Well, your job as a racing driver is to make the track as short as possible. And right there, Jason Holdsworth has just shortened the track by a couple of, probably a good 5 or 6 meters. So that is... that's a very smart little move there. Yeah.
I'm going to do what's called a pro gamer move.
Well, what we'll do is we'll head to a quick ad break here. We'll be back with you very shortly for the next stage of the Southern Thunder Truck Series here at Nashville Superspeedway.
Here at TWRS, we're always here to help our squad when they need a little push in the right direction. That's just who we are. We're a beautifully diverse group of goofballs dedicated to driving fake race cars as fast as possible. And we continue to push each other to the front using the power of nonsense. We have one of the strongest NASCAR programs on the service, and you can access it all for $24.99 a month. And we just released individual subscriptions for $14.99 a month for each NASCAR vehicle. We also just added a Rallycross program, and our IndyCar program is taking off as well. So come join the weird side. We have speed and cookies. Cookies are not included in some locations.
Ladies and gentlemen, ready for countdown. 10, 9, 8, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition.
Man, this is some of the greatest stuff I've ever heard. Ooh.
These go to 11.
If you love the thrill of racing but hate the risks, then buckle up. Everything Simulated is here to merge adrenaline with absolute safety. In a world where technology meets adrenaline, Everything Simulated is revolutionizing driver training with state-of-the-art simulators. From truck training to the thrill of motorsports, our simulators offer the most realistic experiences across all automotive applications. Gone are the days of endless bookwork and basic drills. Now it's all about hands-on, pulse-pounding action that prepares you for the real deal. Whether you're maneuvering a heavy mining vehicle or racing a high-speed car, our simulators, equipped with cutting-edge technology from leaders like SimRigs and Track Racer, bring every nuance of the drive to life. And talk about making a mark. We're not just building simulators, we're fostering talent. From grassroots motorsports to professional series like the Aussie Outlaw GT3, sponsored by us, Everything Simulated is fueling dreams and careers. Ready to feel the excitement of the racetrack under your fingertips? Connect with us, and let's build your next simulator adventure together. Remember, we support those who support us. Join the Everything Simulated family, and let's race towards the future.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And welcome back, everybody. We are here at Nashville Superspeedway. It's round 4 of the Southern Punch Truck Series. And, well, in the ad break, as you saw in the picture-in-picture, not much has changed out on track. A little bit of action between Shane Bowen and Andy Barber on track, but everybody pointing it in the right direction. Jason Holdsworth moved his way back up to second and closing the gap in on Brad Newman, the leader at the moment. And we are seeing some great racing out here once again. Some nice long green flag racing as we hit the halfway mark for the race here. And we've got 75 laps remaining. And it's been classic action here tonight. And look, if you're interested in some classic stuff, we've got the Classic Indy coming up. And I'm going to hand it over to James Watson to chat about this one.
Yes, it is the 5th running of the Vintage Indy. It is a yearly event put on by the TNT Racing Leagues. It is the IR01, the 09 IndyCar, otherwise known as the IR05, the Lotus 49, the Lotus 79, and the Asphalt Sprint Car. It is a 50-minute timed multi-class event at the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It is one of the dumbest and funnest nights you will ever have. It's just a race of pure insanity with all kinds of cars, different levels of speed, performance, and handling that you never would think that would ever share a racetrack at any point. But yeah, it's our fifth time doing it, and it's been an absolute blast every year. So hopefully see a pretty good turnout. You know, everyone that's ever run it has always had a great time. And yeah, it's going to be broadcast right here on Inside Lane Productions. And hopefully we'll see you guys in a couple weeks in June 13th, Eastern Time. And if you're wanting to join tonight, the event on Friday, June 13th, reach out to Kobe Jordan, and he will put you in contact with us to get you into the race.
Absolutely, we look forward to seeing you all there, and it will be for the United States. It'll be on the Friday. For us over in Australia, it will be on the Saturday. So always fun with time zones. We love them so much. They don't get confusing at all. But we are seeing some great racing on track at the moment, and Jason Holdsworth is starting to play that Jaws music, and Brad Newman is looking over his shoulder, looking behind him, and going, no, it's closing it up. So that gap is closing. There is a 7-lap difference on the tyres. So much fresher tyres for Holdsworth, done a lot less miles. That is the equivalent of what, about 9 or 10 miles worth less running on those tyres. And well, on your road tyres, that doesn't mean much, but on a race tyre, that is very, very different levels of wear indeed.
Yeah, you know how I mentioned shortly before we went to break that Newman was able to use the undercut to perfection and keep Zachary Sears at bay basically the entire race at Kansas a couple weeks ago? Yeah, I don't think that's going to be happening tonight. As we see, Holdsworth is already caught up to the rear tailgate of that 33 truck, and something tells me he's not going to be behind it for much longer.
Yeah, he is going to be using those fresher tyres, and he's just going to be able to drive it wherever he wants. Brad Newman's going to be a little bit disadvantaged here, and he just keeps it up high. As you see, Holdsworth taking it down the inside, able to use that bit more grip, and is able to just sail past there.
So, Sarah, the car that I always choose is the Asphalt Sprint Car. You know how it's said that you have enough horsepower when you leave tire marks from one corner to the other? Yeah, they were talking about that thing. It is so powerful that you are rarely ever actually full throttle in that thing, because if you are, you're literally just spinning the tires going down the straightaway. So I typically just run the middle line in that thing and tell people to just pass me on the inside and keep as far away from me as possible, because every once in a while, and by while I mean every lap, it will kind of snap and wiggle on you going down the straightaways. So we're not the most predictable, because even we don't know where the car's going to go. Oh no!
Speaking of
Ryan
not knowing where the
Barber,
car's going to go, we've got there
And-
Ryan
yep,
Barber
and
going
there
round,
it is.
bringing out the caution.
Oh boy.
And that is going to, well, spice things up quite a bit because they cannot make it to the end from here. But they're tantalisingly close. So a bit of contact between Barber and Matty Hunter there. Matty Hunter just sort of in position, and I think Ryan Barber was expecting him to cut across the triangle a little bit more than he did. Luckily for Ryan, though, not really any damage to the truck, just going round. Damage to the ego and the pride, maybe, but no real damage to the truck. And luckily, nobody else caught up in that one. But this is going to mean that all of those strategy games are now thrown out the window, and everybody is going to be into the lane for a fresh set of boots, some fuel, and well, it's going to be on now to the end.
Yeah, and I imagine we're going to see everyone kind of split up this final run now, because we're going to have about a little more than 60 laps left to the checker when we go back green. So yeah, we're going to be dealing with much shorter runs.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if anybody would be able to make it to the end from here. It's going to be tantalisingly close, so that's going to be the thing that's going to determine it. But it's going to be very, very close. So that could be an option. If somebody fuel saves, they might be able to. They might just be able to make it to the end of this race. So yeah, it's going to be hard, but it could be possible here. So we could see somebody trying for that. So we could see a couple of different strategies at play in this one, and that could be interesting to the end. It's a sort of that awkward time for that caution to come out, because it's not quite going to get you home on fuel unless you really do some mega fuel saving.
Yeah, and the nitro trucks came in lap 58 or 59. Actually, let me search that.
Yeah, we saw, I think it was Andy Barber sticking it out for an extra lap or two as well. So it's going to be very, very close indeed. Me personally, I would be going for the Lotus 49 because I love the Lotus 49. It is a beautiful, beautiful car, and it is just fantastic. And I'm old, and I love old cars I love cars like that, I should say. They're not that old. They're lovely. So, first caution of the night, and that's going to leave us with 62 laps remaining here. Behind the pace car, there you go. Dave Douglas saying, look, I'm still here, lads. Don't forget about me. You two boys up the front, you think you're going to be racing without me. I'm here to absolutely cut that off and do my best to get myself involved in this one. We saw Dave Douglas absolutely trying to get involved earlier on, taking it 3 wide. Would not discount him from doing that again. Matty Ray up there too. Wade Sheedy, this could be the opportunity for him. We saw the long run pace not quite there, but the short run pace working. And if he splits it up into 2 30-lap stints, that could be good for him. Pace car about to pull in, and it's going to be Jason Holdsworth leading us off here. Back to green flag, they go. And a very early start to catches a very early indeed. Gets away nicely for Jason Holdsworth, jumps ahead of Brad Newman as the rest of the field follow, and it is Newman, Holdsworth up in the lead. Matty Ray gets himself up into 3rd position. Nice start from himself in the SRM to SRM TWRS sponsored machine. He moves himself up into position. Ruben Phelps getting down the inside of Wade Sheedy as well. So we've got plenty of action on, but it's Brad Newman that's managed to get himself up into the lead ahead of Jason Holdsworth.
Yeah, we saw at the beginning of the race that 33 truck was shot out of a cannon and took the lead within, honestly, it felt like within seconds from starting 7th. So we know there's a lot of short run pace in that truck. We almost had 3 wide. Oh boy.
Well, the old adage of cautions breeding cautions. Are we going to see another caution here? We could have always seen it there as a bit of a clip in the wall, I think, for Wade Sheedy. He manages to save it, but that was close to being disastrous up there. They managed to keep it all pointing in the right direction, but they are getting very, very aggressive now, and it's become a very different style of racing out there. We've got Shane Bowen going down the inside there of Paul Jackson, trying to work his way up in the Cobalt Racing entry, the 38, trying to work his way up the field, seeing what he can do, if he can get himself up into a slightly better position here. But it is that 33 of Newman getting away like greased lightning at the moment, pulling a gap up the front, getting himself into a good position ahead of Jason Holdsworth and Matty Ray.
Oh man, what a defensive move by one of the Cobalt trucks on Jackson.
So I can confirm up the front that there is some clutching going on. So Brad Newman is heavily clutching into the corners. So we've got the clutching action going on for sure. So they are trying to fuel save here. So that is answering one question. And well, the pace is showing that as well. 30.2s rather than the outright pace of low, sort of mid 29s. That's what they would be running if they were going flat out. So I think everybody is in fuel conservation mode at the moment.
Yeah, and we saw the Nitro trucks bring it to lap 59 on their first stop. So, and we went green with about 61, 62 laps to go. So if they ran it dry, then we are going to have to see some fuel mileage from the rest of the field to see if they can try to make it to the end. Because they're going to have to say like 2 to 3 laps.
I think one of the drivers that's looking good for that is actually Andy Barber. He managed to extend his fuel, as I said, a little bit longer than the nitros. So he could be in a position where he can, if he can get that magic working again, could be a good night for the number 5 Southern Stars entry, and we could see Andy Barber up towards the front of the field, and he's putting Dave Douglas under pressure as all bit of a slap to the wall there for one of the cars. Didn't quite see it who it was as the big puff of smoke as the concrete gets hit, but they all keep moving in the right direction and they are not getting slowed down by it. So it's going to be who can save that fuel, who can absolutely make that sort of strategy work, and who can preserve their tyres as well. So, you know, when you're in that fuel conservation mode, you're generally not going to work the tyres as hard as you were in those opening stints, but you can overdrive it that little bit, and you can sometimes get yourself into trouble with the clutching as well, because it changes how the truck enters and exits a corner. So plenty of things can go wrong, as Dave Douglas has got Andy Barber down the inside. Oh, big slide for Barber.
Yeah, and honestly, I felt like I've burned more tires in fuel conservation because my natural driving style is to just kind of drive it in straight and trail brake as much as I can to get rotation in from the car throughout the... Oh!
Ruben Phelps there.
Yeah, Phelps slides right up into the 5. Good work from Barber to keep that truck from going around.
Well, we've seen those Southern Star cars. They must have a gyro inside them or something, because they seem to only point in the right direction, unless they're in the hands of Ryan Barber, of course. But no, good save from Andy and Tom Pritchard tonight.
Damn. We just saw a murder committed on live TV, folks. That is mean. Is that what the kids call savage today?
Well, we will have the burn unit looking at that one, making sure that he is okay after the race. But Shane Bowen now has got up into position and moved himself up into 6th spot and is working through the field nicely. Meanwhile, up the front it is Brad Newman and Jason Holdsworth. And again, we're seeing Newman get a bit of a lead, but we saw that last time. And then Brad Newman losing that to Jason Holdsworth. But if it's a fuel conservation race, Newman is really heavily clutching it, and he's probably going to be looking good at this stage because he's able to carry that speed at the moment too. If he can save a bit more fuel, then he can use a bit more of that towards the end of the race. Speaking of people that are good at fuel conservation, Maddie Ray there as well.
Yeah, and you're just kind of wondering what the Nitro guys are cooking up right here, because obviously we're well aware of that long run pace they had in the first couple stints, but now we've got Matty Ray keeping the 10 at bay a little bit and heating up the rear of that 8 truck. So how much of it is the tables start to turn, or if it's just the Nitro guys really taking it easy and getting prepared to put the pedal to the metal and drive past everyone here in another 15 laps or so.
Yeah, he's just got to hope that he's conserving that fuel enough and able to then make the tyres work. So that's going to be the real hard part of this race now, is knowing at what stage you can start going without burning up too much fuel. You don't want to pull it off too early and find yourself running out of fuel towards the end. It's so easy to do. You sort of lull yourself into a false sense of security and then end up being towards the end of the race and then just not having enough fuel to get yourself to the line.
Yeah, it's all fun and games until you start to hear the truck sputter.
Yeah, it's never fun hearing that truck's cut out as you get towards the line. I had a race like that a while back and was sitting inside the top 10, and all of a sudden getting towards the line, it decided that the fuel wasn't there, and you drop pretty rapidly in these things when they don't have fuel. They're rather heavy aerodynamic bricks, which don't like moving forwards unless they've got some petrol in the tank.
Yeah, you're just going down the track going, and then you hear, and you're like, oh no. Yeah, that's what everyone out here is trying to avoid.
Nothing worse than the sound of silence in one of these trucks. It's why electric racing just doesn't work on ovals. You know, you don't know when they've run out of battery. They stay silent all too long. It's not quite as fun. But we've got Dave Douglas up in front of Andy Barber at the moment. So Dave doing a good job of keeping himself in this battle as well. And look, Dave's no slouch at fuel saving too. And look, sitting behind a few other trucks is not a bad position to be in. You've got those trucks braking the air for you. That's going to help reduce some of the drag for you, and it's going to help save a little bit of fuel too.
Yeah, like, you think the draft wouldn't play a huge role since it doesn't quite live up to the Superspeedway name, but the draft is definitely here, and it's definitely helping everyone a bit farther down towards the running order to save that fuel and give themselves some sort of advantage to try to fight back here.
Yeah, and if you're sort of wondering what sort of happens in that situation, if you're ever on a freeway and you're sort of sitting behind a truck, you sort of notice you don't need to push the accelerator pedal quite as far down as you normally do, and that's because the air's being broken in front of you, and you don't have to use as much engine power, which means you don't have to use as much fuel. We don't say sit on a truck's tail when you're in a freeway situation, but you know, you sort of notice it when you're a little bit further back as well. And it's the same when you're racing on a track like this, as we see Owen there moving his way up into 5th position. When you've got another truck in front of you, that they break the air, they give you a nice bubble behind them where you can sit. You don't have to press the accelerator quite as much, and you don't use quite as much fuel, and that difference can be a good lap or two's worth of fuel, and that is a big save in these trucks, because you sort of still need to get the power down, you still need to keep the speed up when you're fuel saving, and that's why you see people clutching it into the corner, because obviously you need to slow down a little bit on corner entry, but then you still need to use all that accelerator pedal, all of that power and all of that fuel to get off the exit of the corner as well. So it is a real dark art, fuel saving, and it can be one of those things that if you're very good at keeping the speed up, like somebody like Brad Newman at the moment is doing, that is incredible stuff, and you really do it really helps you in the future and helps you with those race victories as well.
And let me tell you, there is nothing more satisfying than a fuel mileage win. I've been able to win a few fuel mileage races in my career and even won a championship thanks to my fuel saving efforts. And you feel like the biggest Chad on the service, because like that is pure like outsmarting everyone, knowing how much fuel you're burning as we got a pass for P2 right here. Ooh.
Matty Ray going round the high side here and trying to get the advantage off the corner. He does it, and we see the 83 moving up into second place. Matty Raymond getting that spot and starting to move his way forward. Was that, though, a bit of a tactical move from Jason Holdsworth to get a car in front of them to break that aero, to give himself a little bit of a position to sit in? I don't think so. I think Matty Ray just caught him napping a little bit.
I don't know about that. Because do keep in mind that the 8 truck has been essentially in clean air for most of this run, as we see the 33 pulling away, as we see the 213 pulling into his box. So
Ben Henniker there coming into the pits.
Oh, big wiggle from Matty Ray. He was just starting to eke out a little bit of a gap too.
Yeah, he's got himself in fresh air now, and that changes the way the truck handles too. And it's, again, one of those little things that's very hard to explain if you've not really driven a race car on an oval circuit before. But when you go from clean air to dirty air, from behind a truck to in front of a truck, it can really change things up. And it can change just how the truck goes through the corners. It catches you off guard sometimes. As we see Andy Barber there with Ruben Phelps just behind him. And it's a bit of a train forming behind him as well. It's starting to form up here, and they are starting to get themselves in a position. They're just dropping off the back a little bit. Sorry, that was Ryan Barber. Sorry, not Andy Barber. Ryan Barber there, just dropping off a little bit from Andy Barber, who's sort of pulling away with the top 6. Not much of a gap, but it is starting to form.
Yeah, you hope they'll pick up the pace a little bit. Obviously, losing the draft isn't as much of a, issue here as opposed to Daytona or Talladega, because this is still much more of a driving-centric track. So if you're faster and you're putting up good lap times, you can catch up to everyone else a lot easier, although getting sideways like that sure isn't going to help things.
No, despite what movies tell us, driving sideways is not the quickest way around the corner. And that is one of those times where it just is just keeping it in play, but not what you want to have happen too many times. And the more times that happens, the less it goes.
So you mean to tell me that the stuff we see in driving scenes in movies aren't real? Gosh, now you're going to tell me that these guys don't even have an extra gear that they'll miraculously shift into to start going faster. Man.
Most Hollywood films lie to us. The only one that's really told the truth is Driven, of course, the amazing movie about the cars with Sylvester Stallone. And if you watch that, you know that's how race cars work.
Oh, no. Oh, that movie never happened. Nope, it's a lie. That movie doesn't exist.
Yeah, nope, PTSD flashbacks there from James.
There certainly isn't a scene where the main characters are able to fire up race cars that are on display and suddenly drive them through the streets of Detroit, not hitting or killing anyone. Nope, certainly nothing that dumb in a racing movie. Nope, it doesn't exist.
I would be disappointed if the new F1 movie is not even half as stupid as Driven, but oh well, we'll get to that one day.
It's gonna be Driven, but with F1.
But out on track, it is Matty Ray ahead of Jason Holdsworth in second and third. Brad Newman pulling out that gap at the moment and getting themselves into some good positions. And yeah, we are seeing some great stuff on track. I think one of my favourite driven facts, though, is it was originally going to be F1, but the F1 looked at the script and went, nope, so Kart got it.
Yep, truly a cart decision. A quintessential cart decision.
It's amazing. Champ car went out of business. Who would have thought it? We're seeing some cars in the lane now, though. So we're starting to see pit stops happening at that 30 lap mark. So we've got Ruben Phelps, Wade Sheedy, and Colin Bennett. This is exactly what we said would happen, James. We're going to see that split strategy coming into play now. So we're going to see some people running the stop here to get that extra fuel. And we're going to see some people trying to save fuel to make it to the end.
See, this is what I point to when people complain about fuel mileage racing. To me, fuel mileage racing is some of the most, if not the most exciting races you'll get, simply given the fact that there's so many different strategies involved and things that you have to keep track of, and you truly have absolutely no clue how it's gonna play out. None of us have any. Oh no! Wait, Sheedy spinning on pit exit. Oh no! Oh, that might be an unsafe pit exit for who is that?
Colin Bennett, I reckon that would be. Who has got himself a black flag, unfortunately. Real shame there. That is one of those moments where he's done the right thing, but unfortunately that means getting a penalty. Brian Blundell as well, getting himself a black flag as well somewhere along the line, maybe for pit entry or something like that, because I'm not seeing where that one is. I think maybe he's just coming. He's just had a bit of a moment coming into pit lane, but yeah, very close to having a caution there, and that would have been disastrous for those that have just taken a pit stop. That's Brian Blundell just missing the pit entry, getting a bit too much speed in.
Yeah, I guess he must have missed the commitment line or something, because he didn't hit the cone, but he sure went off. So that's what I'm guessing at any rate.
Gotta say, a little bit surprised with Ruben Phelps. Sort of didn't quite have the pace in that sort of second run. In that run there, I would have expected him to be a little bit quicker with not having to fuel save. So I think maybe he sort of decided to try something different here, rather than, I think maybe he was thinking about fuel saving and then decided, no, I'm going to try something different here. There's Matty Ray just gets it in. Did he make it in without getting a penalty there? It's going to be close indeed, but it looks like he's just squeaked it in there, and that has got him in. So a late decision to pit there, and he's just managed to get it in time. So a few of these drivers, I think, were sort of mulling over the fact that they were going to try to not stop to the end, but I don't think they can do it. I think they're just thinking it's a little bit too much of an ask. So this could be really interesting to see how it all plays out now for Newman, Holdsworth, and those drivers that are sticking it out, trying to make it to the end on that fuel.
Yeah, and it does explain a lot on why we really didn't see the 8 or the 10 making any moves, knowing how well they were running in the first couple stints, and you see why they are on full, I don't want to say full fuel save, but you know, obviously they're fuel saving.
Yeah, Brad Newman's still heavily clutching into the corners, so he's very much in fuel conservation mode, as we see Ruben Phelps and Matty Ray side by side, and that's that undercut in action. Matty Ray had a whole heap of positions over Ruben Phelps, but now they come out on track on slightly different tyres. Ruben Phelps has done about 4 laps on those tyres, but Matty Ray will soon get back to him and pass him once again. And we can see there Mr. Sheen keeping it as clean as ever, gets it past Ruben Phelps, the flying Kiwi, just gives that barrier a little scrape there, but keeps it pointing in the right direction. And these two try to race each other, but Matty Ray on those fresher tyres will just have that little bit of an advantage and be able to get it up to speed now and work his way up the field. And look, if we see Newman, Holdsworth, Douglas needing to come into the lane with a few laps to go, this is going to really help people like Matty Ray and Ruben Phelps. They could jump a whole heap of positions that could really change how their race plays out.
Yeah, and to go back on what I was talking about earlier, is we see 4th place pitting Shane Bowen. And you know, this is because we now have absolutely no clue on what the finishing order is going to be here in 20 laps. You know, you've got a bunch of guys staying out trying to stretch. You have another bunch of guys bringing it down pit road and trying to see if they can just get the fuel they need, get the tires, and just run balls to the wall and see if they can catch up. And will they catch them? We don't know. Will anyone who's staying out even be able to stretch enough fuel for that to matter? We don't know. And this is what's great about it. We have absolutely no clue what's going to happen.
Absolutely, and look, it's a big ask as well. As we said, we saw people doing about 59 laps, I think, in that first stint. That was the longest stint we saw happen. They've got to make 64 laps, I think it is, to get it to the end from that last caution. So it's a big ask to get to the end on that fuel. So if somebody does manage to fuel save and keep themselves up in the lead, it's going to be a mighty fine job. But as he said, the gap's going to close. You know, those guys that have stopped for fuel and fresh tyres, they will have a big pace advantage. They're going to be about a second faster than the leader. So they've got about 38 seconds to make up. So Matty Ray is about 36 seconds off the lead, but he is about a second a lap faster with 17 laps to go. He's going to work his way up towards, you know, maybe 5th or 4th position if those guys do not stop. And who's to say that they might need to go into heavier fuel saving mode where they drop even more time. So there is so much on the edge here. And look, if you run out of fuel on that last lap and you start coughing and spluttering and the truck doesn't make it to the flag, you're not going to make it for the finish. And that's such a big thing, big penalty to pay. You know, we could well see our leaders running out of fuel in those last couple of laps and not making it to the line. And if we get a green-white checker as well, we'll see everybody coming in for those fresh tyres. But the fuel is going to be really tight as well, so we could see people needing to pull it in and even get an end-of-line penalty, things like that. There are so many risks you play with in these situations, and we're seeing it now as Matty Ray works his way past Jason Holdsworth, getting his lap back at the moment. Matty Ray is a lap down, but he is in a lucky dog position. Won't be long until he's past Brad Newman, and then he can start trying to close the gap on the leaders themselves. But with 15 laps to go, there is not much time. It is running out very, very quickly here at Nashville Superspeedway. It is round 4 of the Southern Thunder Truck Series here on Inside Lane Productions. We thank everybody for joining us here tonight. It's great to see so much action in the chat as well. A big shout out to all of you out there tonight. And look, if you're just joining us for the first time, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and hit the bell icon to catch more racing action here on Inside Lane Productions. We will be heading off for the ARCA series tomorrow, as we said, with ARCA Sparks. So plenty of stuff there and plenty more to come on this weekend here on Inside Lane. But right now, we've got the racing going on. And of course, Oz Ovals on Sunday night as well. If you're interested in some VA action on the oval side, that will be on Sunday night too. So plenty of action still to come here as well. And as you said, James, fuel-saving races, they're sometimes not the most interesting when you're driving a race. You do get a little bit distracted and you're sort of focusing on that fuel mileage. But when you're watching them, they can become absolute classics.
Yeah, and I always look forward to fuel mileage races because I don't always typically have the race winning pace. But being able to use the fuel tank to your advantage can put you in positions that you might not had a chance to be in otherwise. You know, I like to refer to it as weaponizing my slowness.
I had one of those races once in one of the junior categories where I was so slow on a road course I could just do it in one stop. Everybody else had to do it in 2 stops and ended up getting a podium. And everyone was like, "Wow, you really did well in the fuel saving." And I'm like, "What fuel saving? I was just driving. I didn't even realise I'd fuel saved. I was that slow." But it's good when it happens sometimes by mistake. But I don't think that's going to be the case out here. They are really trying to work it out. And I'm sure they are looking at their timing screen, looking at their fuel and working it from there as Dave Douglas moves up into P2. Double D moves it up ahead of Jason Holdworth, who just gives the wall a big whack out of turn number 2. That is not what you want to do. Holdsworth just giving that wall a big old whack there. And, if you are looking to get some racing done and you are looking to get yourself on track for some open setup racing, there is a fantastic opportunity on screen right now for TWRS. If you type in Wattspin 39, it will give you a discount for some setups for future and for your racing. So make sure to head over to Team Watson Racing Setups and enter in that promotion code to get yourself out on track and find yourself in with a chance of winning some of these races. So the racing is heating up on track. It is closing in a little bit up the front, and first and second are sort of in that position, but can't imagine them closing too much on Brad Newman now, who has a 3.3 second lead over them. 8 laps remaining. It is really starting to get there as Matty Ray passes Parry Anastakis and is flying up the field now. He's going to be trying to get as many spots as he can on those drivers that are trying that big old fuel save. One of those drivers is Paul Jackson, PJ himself, up in 6th position, and he is trying his best to make it home on fuel, but this man, Matty Ray, has not got any fuel mileage to worry about. He is going for it right now on fresher tyres. With plenty of fuel in that truck, he will be flying forwards and seeing what he can do and see if he can get himself up into those prime spots, getting himself into position. But the laps are ticking down very quickly now. Can Brad Newman make it to the line with the tank that he's got? He will be hoping that the team put in those extra long fuel lines for him today.
The old Darrell Waltrip strategy back in '89.
Yeah, you gotta have fuel lines as long as the car. It's a good option to have. Gives you that opportunity just in case. Look, every little bit helps. And right now you can see the difference as Shane Bowen just sails his way past, up back onto the lead lap he goes. And that's the thing is, right now, Brad Newman is one of the slower cars on track. Not often you get to say that on an oval, but he is in full fuel conservation mode, and he is trying to get it to the end. Dave Douglas is closing in on him. The gap now down to 2.8 seconds, but with 4 laps remaining, is it too little, too late? If we see Newman coughing and spluttering, it could be the opportunity for Dave to shoot his way past and get himself up into the lead of this race. But it's just got to be if that fuel runs out. And of course, Dave's in the same position. He's one of those drivers that's fuel saving, same as Holdsworth, Barber, both Barbers, Andy Barber, Ryan Barber, Paul Jackson, Parry Anastakis. Those are the cars at the moment that are trying the big save, trying to get to the end on the fuel. They just have 3.8 laps, 3.7 laps, 3.5 laps remaining. Not much longer to go. Will they make it to the line? We're going to find out in just a few short moments here at Nashville Superspeedway. So it is very much getting towards the very final few moments, and they will be hoping, if there is a caution, they will be quickly loading the truck up with some more Scotcher race fuels, getting themselves back out on track to get them to the end. Who is going to be able to do it, though? We'll jump up to the lead now, because this is the truck we want to be watching. Will it cough? Will it splutter? Will it make it to the line? And I am keeping an eye on everybody else in the field, seeing if anybody needs to pull it into the lane, because I'm sure a few people will not make it to the finish line here tonight. It is a big ask to save that much fuel, but at the moment it is looking all sunny and good for Brad Newman up the front of the field. It is looking like a good sign that he can make it. Dave Douglas is closing the gap, but not quite fast enough. We'll be seeing the white flag out very, very shortly. Who has made it absolutely perfect? Who has done this strategy proud? It's looking to the moment to be Brad Newman, Dave Douglas and Jason Holdsworth. They just need to make it round another lap, another 2 and a bit kilometers on this track to get themselves home. Jump on board now with Brad Newman, listening to that truck, seeing if it makes it to the line. This is going to be the crucial thing. If that tacho drops, if we see that truck running out of fuel, then he's not going to cross the line. He's not going to find that win. But even if that happens right now, he should be able to just about coast it there. And it is the 33. It's not the 33. It is the 33 that just sips its fuel tonight. Brad Newman taking victory here. Double D, Dave Douglas crosses the line in second, with Jason Holdsworth in third. Andy Barber will be bringing it home in fourth position, with Ryan Barber just behind, having to pay his rent this week as the Barbers get their positions in the right order. Paul Jackson comes home in sixth. Matty Ray will bring it home in seventh. Shane Bowen in eighth. Ninth for Parianasakis, and Ruben Phelps rounds out our top 10. But what a win for Brad Newman tonight. Absolutely got that fuel saving to perfection. Does he have enough to do a burnout? That's going to be the big question. So as we look back down through the order, it's Noddy Tompkins that comes in 11th, Wayne Sheedy in 12th, Ben Henniker comes home in 13th, 14th for Colin Bennett, Troy Morrison 15th, 16th for Brian Blundell, Matty Hunter in 17th after having an issue at the start of the race. Mark Grucock comes home 18th, 19th for Peter Jones. Tom Pritchard out early in 20th position, and Brad Wright, we lost a bit earlier on, comes home in 21st. And Brad Newman did not have enough fuel to do a burnout. That is that's terrible stuff. We're going to head to a quick ad break now. We'll be back with you very shortly and be chatting to our top 3 finishers.
Here at TWRS, we're always here to help our squad when they need a little push in the right direction. That's just who we are. We're a beautifully diverse group of goofballs dedicated to driving fake race cars as fast as possible. And we continue to push each other to the front using the power of nonsense. We have one of the strongest NASCAR programs on the service, and you can access it all for $24.99 a month. And we just released individual subscriptions for $14.99 a month for each NASCAR vehicle. We also just added a Rallycross program, and our IndyCar program is taking off as well. So come join the weird side. We have speed and cookies. Cookies are not included in some locations.
You've got what it takes. Ladies and gentlemen, ready for countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition.
Man, this is some of the greatest stuff I've ever heard. Ooh.
These go to 11.
And welcome back, everybody. We have our podium up here, and we're going to be starting off with the number 8, the Nitro Racing entry of Jason Holdsworth. Jason, welcome to the booth, mate. Congratulations on P3 here at Nashville.
Thank you.
A great run out there. You looked to have some incredible pace in the truck, but fuel saving at the end of that race just didn't seem to pay off quite as much.
Yeah, it's not a skill that I really have, to be honest. Obviously, you can probably see Brad out front is very, very talented, and probably need to go watch the replay on to see how he did it. Because I need to improve my fuel saving technique.
It's one of those skills that's hard to absolutely master. You did well though, because you managed to keep some decent pace, keep yourself up in the top 3, and almost keep Dave Douglas behind you, but just not quite there at the end.
Yeah, I let Dave pass. He had more fuel than I did. I actually needed to jump behind him and save a bit more in the draft behind him. So that's why I told Dave to go get Newman if you have a chance. But yeah, wasn't to be.
Not quite there, but no, some really good pace in the truck tonight. And one thing I just wanted to ask about qualifying, we saw you sort of not too far off the pace in qualifying, but not right up the top. Did anything happen in those qualifying laps?
Carl, you should know me in qualifying. I could do one good one, then the next one's a bad one. I could do a 29.1 one time, and then the next race, I do a 29.4.
So this was the off server then for you.
Correct. Yeah, I'm a shocking qualifier. I don't know why. I can never hit the same line twice in qualifying setup. I can do it in race setup. I think it's just I'm used to just sort of taking it easy, looking after the tyres, and going full throttle is my thing. So.
I know that feeling too well. Look, congratulations tonight, Jace. Well done on a P3 here tonight for the Sun Thunder Truck Series. Before I let you go, look, shout outs and love to personal sponsors. We'll make Dave do all the hard work for the team sponsors.
Well, I have to thank them. Thank you guys in the booth. Thank you for putting on the event for Kobe. Obviously, I have to thank JT, our truck builder. Always bringing fire every week these days. So big thanks to him and the rest of the team as well.
Thank you so much, Jason Holdsworth there. P3 here tonight. Great job, and I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth in no time. Well, I'm going to hand over to James Watson now for Dave Douglas.
Yeah. All right. We're here with our second place finisher, Dave Douglas. James Watson up in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, James. Right on, man.
All right. Well, that was a heck of a performance. An awesome P2 drive. So, first of all, I gotta ask, obviously it turned into a significant fuel mileage race. How close were you running out?
I think I did a bit more saving than Jace was able to do. I did cough 100 meters for the line though, so like I got to the point where I had to thought I got to try and push and chase down that gap to Newman in case he coughs at the line. And I was watching it; it was ticking down. I was using it a bit more, and then it was line ball. I thought, I'm switching it off. I'm flicking over to the relative, and I just ran the laps out. And I thought, if it runs out, it runs out. I've got plenty of space behind us if I run out, but I didn't want to let Brad off the hook if he ended up coughing. But he managed it well as well. So P2 is all we got.
Yeah, and that's such a tough balance, trying to save enough fuel, but still trying to keep as much pace as you can. So just take us through how much you're trying to kind of keep yourself in check and go, all right, no, back her down. I need to save fuel, not let that race car driver, her feeling of go fast, break in too much.
Yeah, it's tough. It's just like you said, you want to go fast. It's about going as fast as you can, but as slow as you can. It's a tough balance, and then you sort of get excited once the fuel sort of flicks over to the good, and you start going a little bit faster, then flicks back over to bad. Oh, you got to back it down again. So I was doing a fair bit of clutching, but what's funny is the clutching actually helped mid-turn. So you'd clutch all the way in, get to mid-turn, and then just pop it, and it actually the car would just pivot on a spot and drive out. It was actually not too bad. I thought it was. I might use that in future actually.
Yeah, and earlier in the race, we saw when Holdsworth was making the pass on Newman for the lead, you tried following him there and making it 3 wide, and like it got a little sketchy on the apron for you there.
Yeah, I thought, you know what, while I got the run, let's just make it interesting and go through wide. I pretty much pulled out of it down in a turn one because I would have wiped out Jason, as you saw. It was pretty close anyway. But I was already pulling out of that move because, yeah, I didn't want to wipe him out. But let's make it interesting. You got to put on a bit of entertainment. But I got buggered in the pit stop, so I followed him right in and made some good ground on him. And we sort of left just a little bit, probably a second. But then I had Ryan Barber in the 05. There'd been no favours on that outlap. On my cold tyres, I was trying to pass him. I couldn't get the pass done because he was just blazing them warm tyres on the outside, just burning them up. But we eventually got past him, but we'd lost 4 to 5 seconds, and there was a bit of dire straits there for a while. But the caution came out, and yeah, it turned into a fuel race, and that's all she wrote.
Well, I'll ask quickly about that because we saw Jason using a sneaky little tactic of cutting across a little bit of the track there as well, the pit exit.
Yeah, he did, and I watched it. I was like, "Whoa, is he going to get it? Like, is he deliberately doing that? Because I hope he's worked that out beforehand. Because I wasn't prepared to follow him just in case we both get black flags, mate. How embarrassing would that be? So I thought I'll just stick to what I know, and I knew I'd get a black flag. I was like, that way. And Jason's like, "Did you go the shortcut?" I was like, "Nah." He said, "No, you won't get a black flag there." But yeah, so we'll put that on the memory bank for sure.
All right. Well, that was an awesome drive tonight, Dave. Any sponsors, plugs, and shout-outs you want to give?
Hey, appreciate it, James. Obviously, just a Nitro team. All the guys over there, JT, Johnny Taylor with the sets, Russ with the X Series sets. It's good fun with them boys, them Americans as well, getting some races in. So plan to do some more with them this weekend. But yeah, obviously shout out to Kobe putting on the leg and the broadcast, and you boys for calling the race, and hopefully made some entertainment for you out there.
Well, you sure did, Dave, and hopefully we're talking to you again next week.
All right, sounds good, fellas.
And finally tonight we'll bring up our race winner. Not the first time we've said that this season. It is Mr. Brad Newman. Brad, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on another victory here. Very different style of driving towards the end because we've had to see you doing a mega fuel save to the end of this race.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, good to get a win. Yeah, I had to fuel save at the end there when I rolled out of the lane. I knew it was going to be very tight, so I had to just pretty well clutch it most of the way home and try to keep up the speed, which was lucky because if it had gone green or if it had have been a couple laps later, and there would have been enough fuel, then I wouldn't have had anything for Jason. He was just too quick for me tonight, so I got a little bit lucky with that one.
Absolutely. We saw you had some really good pace, and we saw you coming in to sort of take advantage of the undercut a little bit to get yourself up ahead for that first pit stop. But he looked to have some really good long run pace on you tonight.
Yeah, I don't think it would have mattered what I did, whether I pitted early or later than Jason. Had it gone green or had it not turned into a fuel save race, again, it's similar to the last time me and him raced here, he just would have been too fast. So it's hard to beat speed when it comes to strategy.
Absolutely, but you absolutely pulled that strategy out to perfection, and we saw you fuel saving pretty much from the word go. We just had Dave Douglas up here, and he just said he sort of found clutching it just helped with the mid corner here. Were you sort of finding the same thing?
Yeah, with the clutch coming into the corner, when you release it, it kind of helps rotate the car a little bit. So if you can get that right, you can carry a reasonable amount of speed through the corner and not lose too much compared to like a full pace lap. It's not ideal, but it's not too far off.
We saw you managed to cross the line without too much trouble, but you didn't manage to have enough fuel for the burnouts. So obviously it was a bit tight at the end.
No, I ran out of fuel when I hit the finish line. Started to cough when I hit the line, yeah. So I had to roll around the line. I had no ignition.
I mean, it's not time to perfection because you didn't have enough for a burnout, but I guess it's good enough. I mean, you'll take it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I saw Dave and Jace coming, and yeah, I didn't have the luxury of having anything left, so I had to do it like that.
Look, a fantastic victory here tonight. Absolutely done to perfection. A pure class on the fuel saving tonight, Brad. Well done indeed. And, well, before I let you go, the usual thing. Love shout out to sponsors. People, go for it, mate. You absolutely deserve it.
Thanks, mate. Just you guys, as always, for putting these events on, and the guys at Lobs Esports. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brad Newman. They're taking the victory here tonight at Nashville Superspeedway. And, well, we're done and dusted here. A big thank you to everybody for joining us. Of course, Kobe up in the box, doing all the hard work in the background of producing and, of course, running the league. Big thank you to James Watson for joining me here in the booth at this very early hours of the morning over in America. If you're interested in joining up for the Seven Thunder series, please head over to the links provided if you want to race as well. The details are all there too. We hope to see you all in the near future. A big thank you to everybody for racing and joining us here tonight, but we will see you again next Friday for some more action at Nashville Fairgrounds, I think it is, off the top of my head. We will find out once we get there, but a big thank you at Michigan International Speedway. There we go. Sorry about that. I had my brain somewhere else for a moment, but we will see you at Michigan. So thank you very much all, and we will see you all again soon in the near future here for more Southern Thunder Truck Series action. Thank you all. From myself, Carl Wilkinson, with you. Good night to you all.
You've got what it takes.